So what Ron Paul has called for is just take all the disabilities off gold and silver, all the taxes on them, all the disabilities that you can't have a contract in gold that the courts would enforce. Get rid of all that so that people can freely transact in something else, so that when the crash comes, people will be in a better position to protect themselves. I mean, that would just be step one. Just give people a choice. If you want to keep using the depreciating dollar, go right ahead, but don't impose artificial disabilities on people who would prefer to transact in something else. It's a free country. I don't see why that should be such a problem.
48 degrees at 421 here on the Voice of Central Illinois, WJBC and WJBC.com. Jim Fitzpatrick, R.C. McBride. Joining us on the phone is New York Times bestselling author Dr. Thomas Woods. He is going to speak at the Braden Auditorium tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, 7 to 8:30. It's free, open to the public on the campus of Illinois State University. I guess, are you seeing anything now, with what's going on in Congress that are positive signs as far as you're concerned?
Well, the positive sign is that enough people in the country realize there's something wrong with with previous policies, with Obama and with Bush. Obama's change turned out to be more the same except worse. Just push on the accelerator, and that's the big change. I think a lot of people feel like this is just kicking the can down the road. I mean, thinking that you're going to keep solving these repeated problems by printing more money, borrowing more money, spending more money, and just kick the can down the road until after you're long gone and retired. A lot of people just don't buy that anymore. That's the good sign. But the bad sign to me is that when you ask almost any of these new Republicans, well, what program would you like to cut? Wolf Blitzer asked Eric Cantor this question twice on election night. Could you just name me one program out of the billions of programs, like we can't even keep track of them anymore, that we've got? I mean, is there just one that you think we could live without, or would we die instantly if we got rid of even one of these programs? And he couldn't name one. Couldn't name one thing. The Republican pledge to America amounts to cutting an unspecified $100 billion out of the budget. Well, that's $100 billion being cut out of the budget, even if they could do it, is the equivalent of getting like $3 off a trip to the moon. And unfortunately, these are considered to be the budget hawks. I mean, we are in trouble. I mean, the great default is coming, if that is as bold as anybody dares to be.
But isn't that part of really the politics of this whole thing, isn't that really part of the problem? I mean, on all sides. I mean, regardless of what position you happen to take on this particular issue. I mean, if you're a new president coming in, you've got to look like you're doing something, right? If you're a new Congress coming in, you've got to look like you're doing something. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true, but I guess at this point, I'm convinced that there's at least a decent minority of folks in the U.S. who are prepared at this stage in 2010 to be treated like adults and they're prepared for the truth, and they're prepared for something other than a press release or a bumper sticker slogan. They want to know what's the truth of our situation and what kind of sacrifices do we have to make to get out of it. Not what sacrifices do we have to make so politicians can pay off their favorite constituencies and call it stimulus. I'm talking about what sacrifice do we have to make to actually put a stop to and turn around this impossible debt crisis that's hanging over all our heads. They're prepared to be treated like adults, I think.
But yet, if you suggest, we have seen some suggestions out of Washington to cut Pentagon spending by 25% or to really take a hard look at changing Social Security benefits, people start screaming.
Yeah, but, we're just going to have to get used to the sound of screams. Because everybody has got to, from the wealthiest firms in the military-industrial complex down to the humblest American, everybody is going to have to make some sacrifice, because that's the situation they've put us in. We are in the hole when we look at the entitlement liabilities that are coming due. We're in the hole over $100 trillion. It's $111 trillion. I mean, there is no way to trim waste, fraud, and abuse by $111 trillion. This is going to be a wrenching transformation. But it's only going to get worse if we keep pretending it's not there or can be solved through cosmetic means.
When do you think this would come to a head? I mean, when we have to finally stare the situation. I mean, we should be staring the situation in the face. But when do you think this could really come to a head where it is going to be very bad for everybody?
Well, my guess would be the absolute top, longest that we can go is one more generation. Because then, we've got a demographic disaster coming with enormous amounts of people retiring and expecting medical benefits at levels that simply the resources will not be there, and it won't be possible to tax people enough to get those resources. So that's going to be a problem. But within 10 years, even assuming interest rates don't rise, and assuming the economy becomes robust, so let's assume the rosiest scenario, even then the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, says that by 2020, we are already going to be paying every year in the federal budget, just on the interest on the national debt, it's going to be almost $1 trillion. Now, at that point, hard decisions have to be made. $1 trillion a year just to pay the interest on the national debt?
All right. Dr. Thomas Woods, New York Times bestselling author. Again, he will be speaking tomorrow night, 7 o'clock, 8:30, Braden Auditorium on the campus of Illinois State University. It's free, open to the public. Dr. Woods, anything else, sir, before we let you go?
Yeah, you can check out TomWoods.com for. I got a lot of free stuff about this, and linking people to information about what do we do in this situation, because they've gotten us into quite a pickle. Now we got to figure out how to crawl out of it.
Do you have that $3 off the trip to the moon coupon?
I got to get that up there. I got to get that coupon code out there so you guys can go use it.
Awesome.
Dr. Woods, thank you very much, sir, and safe travels coming to Bloomington-Normal tomorrow.
Okay, thank you, guys.